Taylor, I see you. Let me send it out. 1 sec. Let me post it to my story. Crystal, you're early. I see you. Welcome on in. Welcome to the Social Work Hub. Baby, gonna. Will you give me sugar? Wala. I'm just posting it to my story, then I'm going to send it out. Mona Lisa, Macho 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 Mona Lisa. Girl, I'll be foolish if I don't let you indulge me. Your lips like poison. I take my chance with you. If I did look like you don't know it, you're in denial. I'll show you I'm loyal. You want to come way down like tsunami or would you hold me down in the corner? I see you guys. Welcome on in. Melissa, I see you. Welcome on in. I'm just posting it to my story and sending it out. And we're waiting for our 2 other guests. Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa. Welcome on in. I appreciate you guys grabbing a daily heart me. We are liking the live, grabbing a daily heart me, reposting, sharing. Let's share this live out to specifically. Okay, let's be intentional. Let's share this live out to social work students and also current social workers. Okay, let's be intentional on what we share it out to whoever you want to share it out to. But you guys know I always am very intentional. Let's share this live out. If you know a social worker or if you know a student who is currently studying to be a social worker, they need to listen to this tonight, okay? So we are waiting for our other 2 guests to get here. We're liking the live, grabbing a daily heart, me reposting and doing all that good stuff. Melissa, I see you. Thank you so much for liking the live. I see you. We're waiting for our other guests to come on in.
Rewrite real quick.
Okay.
You're now listening to an official
Brian, I see you. Welcome on in. Oh, we good. Oh, right on time. Y'all see why I love my social workers? They just came here right on time and we're just going to jump right into it. I love my social workers. Let's jump right into it. Hold on. Let me do my stuff. Welcome on in. Dr. Melvin, I see you. Miss Melissa, I see you. Mr. Brian, I see you. Dr. Melvin, can you see us? Can you hear us?
I can. I'm jumping on. Just give me 1 quick second.
Sure. Okay. No problem. In the meantime, Miss Melissa, I know you are pressed for time because you have your own session to go do at 8 p.m. So please just give us a signal of when you have to head on out to go prepare for your great work that you do here on this platform. Okay, Miss Melissa. But in the meantime, briefly, everybody, welcome to the Social Work Hub. As you guys know, I am Dr. Johnson, and every month I do a different conference. And because March is Social Work Awareness Month, I had to tap on, some of our great healthcare professionals who do great work in the community. Miss Melissa, Dr. Melvin, and Mr. Brian. So I just want to have you guys each have the opportunity to just do a brief introduction, professional and educational background, whatever you guys don't feel comfortable sharing. We're all healthcare professionals, so we know how to use context clues. So we'll start off with the lady, Miss Melissa, just brief professional and educational background.
Thank you so much. And first off, thank you so much, Dr. Johnson, for having me today. Happy Fellow Social Work Month to Brian and Dr. Melvin, my fellow social workers on here tonight. A little bit about me. My name is Melissa. I am a clinical social worker currently practicing as a registered clinical social work intern in the state of Florida. My career in social work started in child welfare, working for DCF, and recently transitioning into remote social work. In between that, I did a little bit of inpatient psychiatric care, providing psychotherapy to children, adolescents, and adults in the acute setting. And right now, I serve as a serious mental illness care manager or social worker. In addition to that, I'm also a mentor to other social workers here on TikTok, and really encourage professional development here within the social work community. So it's a little bit about me, but I love to help individuals. I love to help support individuals who are practicing for the test and really just trying to build their social work career. So thank you so much again for having me.
I love that. Thank you so much. Mr. Brian, you're up next.
Yeah, happy social work month to everyone. Melissa, it's good to see you. I'm like, hey, I know her. I was on her on one of her segments as well. I am Brian. I'm a therapist in Florida as well. Owner of Haven Oasis Wellness Co. Do therapy and coaching. I work with a lot of men and a lot of couples. And my what do I call it? I love working with the aging population, but I don't get to work with them as much as I want to. So I spend my Mondays going over there, bringing prizes for bingo and just talking with them, chatting it up over there. Reminds me of spending time with my grandparents and whatnot. So I have a huge heart for them, even though it's not my largest, clientele. But yes, I work with men, lots of couples. I first started in the trenches. I like to call it DCFS from where I come from, which is very heavy. And after that, I worked at a boys group home as a program supervisor for 3 years. And if anybody knows what working with inner city, people are, that's hard enough. But when you're working with inner city youth boys in a program, it's even tougher. So I do like a challenge. However, after getting my master's, I think I like viewing the challenge and helping rather than being all up in it all the time. Thank
Right,
you for
right.
having me, man.
I love that. Thank you so much. And Dr. Melvin, you're up.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Melvin McDowell. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Michigan. I own and operate McDowell Healing Arts Center. We're a group practice. I also I own a wellness center as well, which is where I'm at right now. And so in addition to the wellness center, I'm also a professor. So I teach at Saginaw Valley State University in the Master's of Social Work program. A lot of my roles these days tend to be more administrative roles, running the group practice, running, the wellness center, being a professor, that kind of stuff. But I still see clients. I mean, I have like 2 or 3 clients that I see, mostly black male clients. That was a big population that I work with here because I'm one of maybe 3 in my area, black male therapists. And so yeah, I tend to work with a lot of black male clients as well. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love that. Thank you so much for the introductions. And once again, I appreciate you guys, taking the time to step into office hours with Dr. Johnson and be a part of this important conversation. Before we jump right into it, as you guys know, a thumbs up or praying hands, that's just me acknowledging you guys in the chat. I don't want to interrupt my guests as they're speaking, but a thumbs up or praying hands is me just acknowledging you guys all in the chat. I want to jump right into it. Miss Melissa, let's start off with you. Y'all know Dr. Johnson does his homework. I shared the meeting agenda, so we all prepared, and we're gonna get into some good questions, and we're gonna drop gems. That's what the purpose of these conferences is about, dropping gems overall. Okay, Miss Melissa, what initially drew you to clinical social work, and what keeps you passionate about the field today? And after you respond, then we can have Dr. Melvin or Mr. Brian chime in as well too.
Let me just say real quick, Dr. Johnson, your social workers did their homework. First,
Yes.
let me just say that, but I'm
Yep.
coming
Yep.
prepared, I'm coming ready. All
Yep.
right, so what initially drew me to social work was my desire to advocate for vulnerable populations that don't feel heard within multiple systems, right? So early on, I started with DCF at the hotline. That was with my bachelor's in criminology. And exposure to that really showed me that families face trauma, poverty, complex systems, right? So it shows me that we have to give more. We have to do more. That wasn't enough for me to just answer the phones. So what keeps me passionate today is really the impact that social workers have on all different communities and within all different settings. Healthcare, CPS, therapy sessions, wellness clinics like Dr. Melvin, school systems, really anywhere in the community you can find a social worker. So that's what keeps me passionate today, is to help those vulnerable populations and to make sure that everybody has access to equal resources across all means, whether that's healthcare resources, job opportunities, health insurance, all of the things. So really just being able to support the next generation and ensuring that we have good resources to support our population.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. For those of you just joining on in, today is a social work hub. I am interviewing subject matter experts as it relates to everything social work. Dr. Melvin, what keeps you passionate about the field overall?
I would say the thing that keeps me passionate overall is the need for the work that we do. I mean, there's so much need out there, and so I love seeing clients be able to work through the issues and challenges that they, at one point they didn't see an end. They didn't see the, as some of us would say, the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And so watching clients reach those goals, those goals that they could, at one point couldn't see, and now it's like, oh, I can do this, or I can surpass that, or, get through this trauma or that trauma, so I'm really passionate at seeing people, reach goals, but also, I'm also one of those people that believe that representation matters. And so like I started out saying, like, I'm one of 3 Black male therapists in my area, and so I'm just happy to, stick my face out there, and for multiple reasons, honestly, but there's a lot of people who look for therapists who look like them, or who had some similar experiences and things like that. So it keeps me going. It keeps me passionate about the work that I do.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And Mr. Brian, as a black man, what drew you to clinical social work?
Becoming the resource. Dr. Melvin, I like the way you talk. I like your language a lot. And thank you for the work that you do. Just bottom line, I can like hear your heart through it. Just even you saying that you work with Black men, which is just much needed. So much respect to that. I most appreciate at this time that I am the resource, and I could gatekeep, but I do not. So when people come looking for resources, even if it's like as simple as rent, and I have a resource for it, like I give it. If it's
Right.
groceries, I'll give it. If it's in
Right.
session and I can give it, and I'm like working in your city and I'm connected with whomever has it, like I give it. Uh, when I was coming up, and I had to do my internship and things like that, I would see people who would hold things from the clients who needed it just to prove a point. They didn't like their attitude. But I'm like, they have an attitude because they need to feed their family and they are unable to. So you want them to come here and gain all this knowledge of what you have, but they don't have the bare necessities. So what keeps me going is longing to be connected with the community that I'm working with, but also having the revenue and the reach to supply the need so then we can actually get to the mental, emotional piece of it. Because how can I go through a therapy session if I'm sitting here hungry?
Right.
You know,
Right.
how can I go here
Right.
not knowing like, where the next meal's coming from my kids or gas in my car or even transportation to the school and things like that. So I just love being a resource.
Right, right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Miss Melissa, when I interviewed you first on Office Hours with Dr. Johnson, you shared with me all the different roles that you've had in the past. So I think you would be good to start off this question. But social workers often wear many hats. What are some of the roles you find yourself stepping into most frequently in all of the work that you do? Let's start off with Melissa.
Thank you so much. I like to look at this question and picture those birthday hats that you find, for like the little kids' birthdays, 5-year-old birthday parties, and they're coming all the different colors and all the different shapes. And then sometimes the string breaks and sometimes it stays sturdy, because we wear so many different hats, from a therapist to care coordinator, to a mentor, to an educator, to crisis support, to resource coordinator. I mean, I'm not going to take them all because my friends can name some, but I mean, we wear so many hats. I even, can think at sometimes we can be a mom, at sometimes we can be a father, sometimes we can be a uncle figure. I mean, there are so many different hats that social workers wear, and they're all throughout the community. But a big part is really helping our clients navigate those complex, overwhelming systems, the insurance, the behavioral health services, the community resources that we're talking about. Those can become very overwhelming very quickly. So how do we help our clients and support them and guide them through those systems?
Right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Mr. Brian, Dr. Melvin, she nailed it. Anything else you guys want to add, or we can continue? She nailed it.
Yeah, advocate for sure. Also, translator. Oftentimes, Black people come into therapy or different spaces with a diagnosis that does not match what they're actually going through. And
Mm,
culturally, some therapists are not culturally competent, so they translate over here, and it's like, oh, he has ODD, and it's like, that's not it. But okay, let's try again. Let's talk some more with the family and see actually what's really going on. So I would say translator.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So we just wrapped up the foundational questions just to test warm up the waters. I do have some questions as it relates to supporting individuals, working with families, interdisciplinary collaboration, ethical and emotional challenges, and then we're going to end it off with some reflections. So Dr. Melvin's going to start us off with supporting individuals. Okay, Dr. Melvin, what are some of the most common challenges individuals face when assessing behavioral or social services today? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay. So I mean, I would say access to services.
Mm,
Access to services is a big thing. Just number one, knowing what services are available.
right.
But having the access to the actual services, and being able to navigate the services or the service channels, and things like that. So I see a lot of people having challenges, with you know. It took them a moment to even identify, like, hey, this is something that I want to do and want to pursue. But now it's
Hmm.
like, how do I even, what's out there, what's available to me? What does my insurance cover? What doesn't it cover? Those types of things are the things that come up for me, if I understood your question correctly.
Right, right. Anybody else want to add, or we can continue? Mr. Brown, I see you. I see you looking. You got anything to add?
I'm just making sure I got my notes right. I think he covered
Okay,
most of it.
okay.
I would also say trust, with it. Some people find it hard to trust the system that they are in because they have been burned so many times. Or feel like, you're being set up to be put in a padded wall.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a segue to my next question. But Miss Melissa, you got something. Drop it. You add it.
Real
Drop
quick.
it.
I
Go
would
ahead.
just
Go
say,
ahead.
I mean, this is constant all my lives, the stigma behind mental health, right? So like, yes, 100% the access to resources, the transportation, the insurance, the long wait list, that 100%. But that stigma around even receiving mental health services or looking for mental health services, that is definitely a common challenge that individuals face when we look at social work and the population we serve.
Right. True. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Brown. We're gonna come back to you because you mentioned trust. Okay. So, how do you build trust with clients who may have had negative experiences with either healthcare or social service systems overall?
Consistency and honesty. So
Okay.
what you need to know, I'm gonna tell you. What I know, I'm gonna tell you. If it's about you, I'm gonna tell you. Whether it's hard or not, and we'll navigate and figure it out together. My whole thing
Right.
is no secrets. If it's ugly, we'll work through it until we make it pretty, or we'll work through it while it's ugly and just navigate through it.
Right. Right. I love that. And Dr. Melvin, I see you nodding. He nailed it. You got anything you want to add?
Oh, 100%. Consistency is key, and authenticity is, I would say, would be the backup key.
Right.
You have to be authentic. People can tell; they can sniff you out from a mile away if you're not authentic. And people want to be seen as real, and they want to talk to real people.
True.
And so
True.
so the authenticity, consistency, like that combo in and of itself.
Right. Right. Miss Melissa, you good? We can continue.
I'll just say that don't expect it on day one. Don't expect it overnight. Trust
Mm-hmm.
with your client happens over time. I don't know, but how I was raised was don't trust anybody. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to a mental health provider. I know that they're documenting this information. I know, all these things. So how do I build that trust? And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen with the report question of what's your favorite TV show, let's being honest. So it happens over time. It's something that, requires consistency, transparency, honesty, all, everything what they said, but over time for sure.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Melvin, I want to come back to you. Can you share an example of how social work interventions can significantly change the trajectory of someone's life? All the work that you do, how can that impact someone's life overall, in other words?
I mean, I'll even go extremely basic on it. Just creating a space for somebody in and of itself can be an ultimate, intervention by itself. I can sit here and I can talk to you about all these different modalities that you can use and things like that. But the act of just opening a space for somebody, it's just so they can be their authentic self, not feel judged, and just creating that space for them, that in and of itself can change the trajectory for somebody. There's not too many places that we can go where I don't have to worry about being judged. There's not too many places that I can go where I don't have to, worry about, someone misunderstanding me or, things like that, which again leads to a lot of people want therapists who they can relate to, but I don't know. I got excited when you asked that question, so I'll call it out. I'll let everybody else answer.
Dr. Melvin, that's why you are here. Okay, you guys get excited. I want the transparency. I appreciate that, and that's why the three of you are here. Mr. Brian, anything you want to add to that, or did he nail it?
No, I nailed it.
Nailed it. Perfect. Miss Melissa, he nailed it. Anything you want to add?
I'm good.
Perfect. Okay, so you work with a lot of mental health patients, okay, and serious mental health specifically. So I think you can lead us in this question, okay? But how do trauma-informed approaches shape the way you support individuals overall?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Ray, we all come from different backgrounds. We all experience different situations, traumatic or not, but realizing that you're not asking this client or this individual what's wrong with this person. You're more so asking what may have happened to this person. So looking at things and prioritizing the safety of the client or the member, empowering that client, making sure there's that collaboration. Working with DCF really showed me, if you've never been there, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about, but it really is collaborative. And, at the end of the day, trying to be collaborative with families, with individuals to help better their everyday life situation. So really just making sure that they feel supported and that we can really prioritize that safety and well-being of the client.
All right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. For everybody just joining in, welcome to the Social Work Hub. Today, I am interviewing 3 subject matter experts as it relates to everything social work, okay? Because it is Social Work Awareness Month. So far, we've gone over some foundational background questions. We just wrapped up some supporting individual questions. And Mr. Brian is going to lead us in the questions that I have as it relates to working with families, okay? So first question, Mr. Brian, what strategies do you use to help families navigate complex systems like healthcare, child welfare, or behavioral health services? All 3 areas that you do a lot of work in.
My first thing, I'm going to always say resources. I have all the resources. If you're coming to me, I have all the resources. And if I don't have it, I will find. If I don't have it, I will find it. I think one of the main things is definitely insurance. But I even found, one of the cities that I do a lot of work in, there are ways, not around it, but there are people who will offer grant money to navigate you through, like if you needed to find therapy for, your child and you needed a certain amount of sessions for something, or if you needed a psych person to, whether it's providing meds or just being checked out, as a whole. It's hard. Insurance is terrible right now. Everything that's going on right now, I'm not going to go political. However, it is very hard for people who are underserved to get the proper treatment that they deserve, because it is a human right to have healthcare, to be provided healthcare. Resources. Amen. All right.
Okay. Dr. Melvin, you good? What you want to add? You want to add anything to that?
I would say for me is understanding the culture, the specific culture of families is important. Growing up in my house, my dad led a lot of the things that went on in our house and, conversation, but I understand as a therapist and as a social worker, I understand that every family does not mirror my family. And so understanding culture, understanding that, there might be some families where, the other individual in that family, be it a wife or what have you, they might be the point person or the person, that kind of helps to navigate what's going on with the family. So understanding the culture of the family when you're working with families is going to be very important and very key. And I'll just say that much.
Perfect. I love that. Miss Melissa, anything you want to add to that? You good?
I'm good.
Perfect. Okay. Well, for those of you just joining on in, once again, I see you, Doc Cristal. I see you, Sephakor. I see you, Miss Kina. I see you, Health Hub with T. I see you. Welcome. We are interviewing today subject matter experts as it relates to everything social work. Why? Because it is Social Work Awareness Month. Okay. Melissa, in your experience, what are some common misconceptions? You mentioned misconceptions earlier on. Let's tap a little bit deeper into that, okay? In your experience, what are some common misconceptions families have about social work support overall? Let's dive into that.
Yeah, there's a lot, so I won't take up all of them. I'll let my fellow social workers preach on it. But one is definitely that therapy and mental health services are only for individuals who are in crisis or child welfare situations. Like I said, I did work for child protection, but there's a huge stigma around social work is, just taking people's children, and that's not it. And, even when you're in DCF work, you don't do that job to take people's children. But the reality of it is at the end of the day, social workers, again, they provide such a huge wide range of services. You talk about therapy, you talk about care coordination, advocacy, prevention services, and education. So working collaboratively with our members, with our patients, with our clients, and not just only when they are in crisis. I always say every person needs a therapist, every social worker needs a therapist, every good therapist has a therapist, but you don't go to therapy just because you're in crisis or, dealing with a child welfare issue. So that would be my hot take on that question, and I'll pass the baton.
Okay, pass the baton because Mr. Brian, he was trying to catch the baton. Brian, what you got to add to that? You got to add.
No, everything that you said is definitely 100%. I'm gonna take it to the side a little bit. One misconception that they have about social workers is that you have to be broke to do this job for a lifetime, and it's not true. You do not have to be broke, and I feel that some people are not going into the field because they feel like, okay, which we were all, I was definitely there in undergrad feeling like the services that I'm providing to these people, I need to use myself. However, as you continue to grow and learn, you find that there are different avenues to go in social work. So yeah, you can be a director. Yes, you can be a therapist. Yes, you can work for social services. You can end up at somebody's church being some type of social worker. Like, and it's not just like a one thing. And there is so many checks out there for you, that don't require you to work a full-time job while you have a full-time job. So just look deeper, into it. You don't have to be broke to be a social worker, but you do have to look for it, and it is still work. You don't have to be broke.
Right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Melvin, any other misconceptions you want to add to that, or they nailed it?
No, they nailed it. They took the word right out of it. Yep. Okay,
perfect. So I'm gonna stick on you. So how do you support family members who are experiencing caregiver stress or burnout? That's big in healthcare. Okay, we're always focusing on the patient. However, caretakers, they have their own mental health journey as well, too. Okay, I'll repeat the question one more time. How do you support family members who are experiencing caregiver stress or burnout?
Yeah. So, I commonly have conversations with people, and they'll say things to me such as, I don't have time to take care of myself because, this other person or my kids are more important or things like that. And I commonly find myself saying stuff like, you don't have time not to care for yourself. Like if there's no you, who's going to be around to support those other people, and I know at this phase, it's a cliche now, but again, what do we hear the stewardess and the flight attendant telling us, in the case of an emergency, we put our mask on first, right?
Right.
We have to,
Right.
Like, again, if we don't, in the process of taking care of other people, we might not be here anymore. And so it's so important for us to take care of ourselves and to So that's one of the conversations that I tend to have. And we also have conversations about respite. What does respite mean, and all that kind of stuff too. So
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. You guys, guess what? Let me tell you, shout out to my social workers, okay? Because we're already halfway through my series of questions and we haven't even hit the top of the hour yet. So I love my social workers for being concise, straight to the point, and offering these resources and these fast facts straight to the point in a concise amount of time. So can I have a couple of round of applause in the chat for my social workers before I continue? Can I just have two people drop round of applause in the chat before we continue, before we get into interdisciplinary collaboration? Okay, I see you. I see you, Mac. I see you. Perfect. We good. We good. Let's continue. Miss Melissa, I know we pressed for time. You still good on time?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, perfect. So, Miss Melissa, as it relates to social workers frequently work alongside physicians, nurses, therapists, and community providers. What does effective interdisciplinary collaboration look like in practice? I'm always preaching to my students that healthcare is collaborative. So when I created this question purposely for you guys to share with us how healthcare is collaborative from the social work perspective. Miss Melissa, take it away.
For sure. So when it comes to MDTs or multidisciplinary staffings or collaborations, I think the underlying is respect, right? In general, right? Because I think a lot of times being very transparent, no filter on this live, that sometimes from working in medical social work, that someone's title or someone being a doctor and you're not a doctor, it dismisses your opinion. It dismisses your your expertise. So, but what it should look like, right, is clear communication, the shared goal for the client. The client is at the center. It doesn't matter who has what titles, who has what education background. At the end of the day, it's the client at the, in the middle of the table. And really just helping bridge that communication between the provider to ensure that the whole person, not just the diagnosis, is considered. Because these individuals that you're seeing at a medical social work point, they have so many different factors of life that are challenging, whether it's job, medical health, kids, childcare, the list is endless, groceries. And so being able to look at the person as a whole in the systems that they work with and not the CPT code for a medical billing on a diagnosis.
Right. Mr. Brian, we good? Dr. Melvin, we good? Anything you want to add, or she nailed it? Because I'm coming back to you, Brian.
Yeah, nailed it.
She
Social
nailed it.
emotional. That's our job. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to continue. Mr. Brian, how do social workers advocate for psychosocial needs and systems that may prioritize medical or administrative outcomes?
I'm going to try to simplify it. I do my job. Whether
Okay.
anybody likes it or not, I'm going to do my
Okay.
job. I'm going to come
Right.
in, running my mouth, talking my
Mm-hmm.
game, and saying
Mm-hmm.
this is what the client needs. And if you want
Mm-hmm.
to fight and we want to go back and forth, I'm going to send an email just so we know what I did here, because this is what was needed. This is what they said they wanted for their care. No matter who it is, I'm going to do my job. It gets me in trouble
Right.
sometimes. However, never in trouble with the board. Okay? Because I'm
Okay.
going to do my job.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Can I have two people drop the lean in sticker, because Mr. Brian leaned in and he just automatically had me lean in too. Can I have two people drop the lean in sticker, please? Lean in stickers before I continue. Dr. Melvin, did he nail it or we good? He nailed it?
He nailed it. Yeah, he
Okay,
nailed it.
okay, perfect. So, Dr. Melvin, what unique perspective do social workers bring to care teams that other professionals may not? We're not judging. We're not throwing no jobs on nobody. I told you, it's healthcare is collaborative. Okay, so I want you to answer this question respectfully. We're gonna keep it G. Okay, Dr. Melvin, what unique
Yeah.
perspectives? I'll repeat. What unique perspectives do social workers bring to care teams that other professionals may not?
So I can only speak to social work. So what I would say to that though is we are taught about person in the environment, right? We understand that people they're not in a bubble. They're not in a vacuum by themselves, right?
Right.
Their environment influences and has impact, and there's an interconnectedness that happens because people are part of environments. And so we're looking at the totality of things. We're not sitting here saying, okay, you need to go do this, you need to do this, you need to go do this. And when you don't do it now, you're not compliant. No, we're saying like, tell me more about yourself. Tell me about tell me about your beliefs, your wants, your needs, your desires, your culture,
Right.
and tell me about your family makeup, so that way we can take all of that good information about them and help and collaborate alongside, not dictate, but collaborate alongside them. We come as a partner alongside them to help them to figure out what their, what that path might look like for them.
I love that. You nailed it. Melissa, did he nail it? Miss Melissa, he nailed it. Anything you want to add? He
I
nailed
was
it.
copying it.
Perfect.
Nothing to
Okay.
add.
Mr. Brian, he nailed it. Nothing else we want to add?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Perfect. I love that. Everybody who's just joining on in, welcome. The Social Work Hub. We almost practically through. This is the one of the fastest conferences I've ever hosted. Shout out to you guys. We getting straight to the point, fast facts, straight to the resources. I love this. So far, we've gone over some foundational background questions, supporting individuals, working with families. We just wrapped up interdisciplinary collaboration. Let's get into ethical and emotional challenges. Miss Melissa, I know we're kind of pressed for time, so I'm gonna have you start this one off, okay? But what are some of the most complex ethical dilemmas you encounter in all of the work that you do? Let's take it there.
I'll touch on two, and then I'll pass the baton because there are plenty.
Okay.
The first one that I'm going to talk about is confidentiality versus the duty to warn or report. That often comes up when you talk about, practice, and especially, the populations that we're working with. So looking at that ethical dilemma as well as documentation, ethical dilemmas. I, again, worked in child welfare, and, documentation is key. Dotting your I's, crossing your T's, making sure that, you have all of the information. They like to say, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen, right? So just making sure that there's documentation, expertise, and then the confidentiality versus duty to warn or report. And I'd go into that a little bit, more, but don't need you to get censored. So I'll pass the baton and we'll move on from there.
I love that. Thank you, Miss Melissa. You're the best. Mr. Brian, I need you to add to this. I'll repeat the question. What are some of the most complex ethical dilemmas you encounter in the work that you do? Let's take it there.
Advocating for clients who deserve more support. I think that it's easy to go with the crowd in a lot of spaces where people feel like where people feel that certain individuals don't deserve more. And always being that person, whistleblower at that, it's tough because it's easy to, walk past the sidelines or the marginalized person or community because it makes it quicker for whether it's the company or the business or whatever to get by. But constantly slowing things down so that everybody who deserves the support, within the community gets it.
Right. That's true. Dr. Melvin, I'll repeat the question for you one more time. What are some of the most complex ethical dilemmas you encounter in the work that you do?
I don't know if this is complex, but I will tell you it's jacked up. The jacked up part about what I'm going to say is the fact that there are a lot of new clinicians who have supervisors that do not do their job. And these supervisors do not hold them accountable. These supervisors are not having supervision with them. These supervisors are their friends and they're hanging out after work. And, I'm not writing my friend up. I'm not, having these much needed conversations. I'm not challenging your ethics because we're friends. I've seen some stuff working in this field that it was just some stuff. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. So that's the thing that, comes up for me when you ask that question.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And shout out to you guys for all being so transparent, okay, as we answer that and navigate through those questions. But back to you, Melissa. Social work can be emotionally demanding, okay, especially when you're dealing with serious mental illness, okay? Social work can be emotionally demanding. How do you maintain your own resilience and prevent burnout?
For sure. One, knowing the signs of burnout, right? So that we can do better when we know better. But also the power of having boundaries. I'm a younger clinician, I'm a younger social worker, and I learned at a very young age about burnout being in DCF. I was a supervisor to 12 investigators, trained every single new investigator that came into our office, and ran what they call the nesting unit to help with retention rates. At DCF, the turnover rate was 177%. I'm sorry, friend, I'm only one person. I can only do so much. 177% turnover rate is absolutely insane. So how do I manage that? Now, the power of saying no is something I learned very early on. And I'm going to say that for a second, right? Because when you're a great clinician, everyone wants to have you do all the things. When they see you have good work ethic, when they see that you're professional, when you can manage complex situations, when you can, help with crises. But at the end of the day, you're going to burn yourself out and they're going to burn you out. So I learned again at a very early age that as a supervisor, you cannot treat your employees, your workers, like robots. If that's the case, then go hire robots. They have robots at the restaurants. Go hire one. I don't know. But at the end of the day, these individuals are human. You can't expect someone to show up and to, help an individual when their caseload is 150. Let's just be honest. So what does that look like? But the power of saying no, having boundaries, making sure that you know the signs of burnout so that you can try to prevent it.
Right. I love that. And I have one of my other clinicians in the chat. She said working for Florida DCF is taxing. Yes, it is, especially in Florida. It is very taxing. Mr. Brian, anything you want to add to
Working
that?
for Florida anywhere is taxing. Working for
Whoa!
Florida anywhere is taxing. Anywhere,
Whoa!
anywhere.
Florida is
What?
behind
Yeah,
sentence.
yeah. You graduate with a master's here. You go into clinical. You go into like community healthcare. Do you know how much how much you come out with? They'll pay you 19.24 per hour.
Mm.
As
You guys,
a,
yeah.
anywhere
We
in Florida.
got, yeah.
Anywhere. Anyhow, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know
Taxing. Florida.
you had to take it. I'm in Florida too. I'm in Miami.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then you know. The only thing that's
Yeah.
good in taxes here is the state tax. Other than that, you're paying for everything else. Huh? What? Hello?
Okay, so
Y'all there? Okay. All right. What's the question? I'm sorry. I apologize.
you good, sir. You good. Social work can be emotionally demanding. Okay, Mr. Brian. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
damn. How do you maintain your own resilience and prevent burnout, sir?
You know what? I didn't know how to do it at first, and that's why I was burnt out. What I learned is to have a group of friends who are therapists. And
Mm-hmm.
because that's my main gig, therapy, and it really brings a balance. I only know one other black male therapist in my area is my friend, and we definitely keep each other aligned and balanced. Like, bro, I know they keep
Yeah.
calling you because you're one of three that's in the area. It's three of us in this thing, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like you gotta say no because stuff is not adding up. It's like you got kids at home, you got a wife at home. So what are
Right.
what are you doing? You're looking
Right.
tired. I ain't heard from you. You ain't text me. What are we doing? Something's not right. So I think having a
Right.
group of friends who do something similar to you, to just to keep that closeness. And when I'm with those friends, we don't talk about therapy. So it's
Right.
everything else. Other than that,
Right.
we just have to come up out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Melvin. What do you do? Let me repeat the question because this woke us up. Social work can be emotionally demanding, Dr. Melvin. Okay, how do you maintain your own resilience and prevent burnout?
Yeah, for me, it's spending time with my family, prioritizing vacations. For me, it's I love the word that Melissa used, which is boundaries. Boundaries are so important.
Yep.
And for me, I own a private practice, and we have a lot of staff at my private practice. And one of the things that I realized was that in my pursuit to be a good boss, and a reachable boss, I gave people too close of an access to me, too much of an access to me.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like people, and not that I can't be available to support, my staff and things like that, but at the same time, I still have to have boundaries. I
Right.
still have
Right.
to, don't call me after such and such time.
Right. Right.
If I'm on vacation, I'm on vacation. Why are you contacting me?
Hmm.
So
Right.
just stuff like that. So, but it put me in a position where I also had to put people in place to handle those conversations, so training up other people who can, other clinical supervisors and stuff like that, who can balance, help me to balance that, but also take some of that off my shoulder as well.
Right. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Miss Melissa, I want to come back to you. Okay, we still good on time. I only got a couple more questions. Hey, I only have 3 more questions. We good on time? Let's knock these out because your thing starts at 8, right?
Yeah, I'll be early. We're good.
Okay, we good. Okay, so Miss Melissa, What support do you think organizations should provide to better sustain the social workforce overall?
First one I'm gonna talk about real quick is managing caseloads, manageable
Okay, I hear
caseloads.
that.
We talked
Mm-hmm.
about 150. That was me, real life, like
Mm-hmm.
150 cases. That's not even children, because maybe one
Mm-hmm.
family got 5 kids, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
let's talk about that. Access to supervision and mentorship when it comes to a career, a job. There will be LCSWs within the same building, but aren't
For free.
QSs, or maybe they want to put you on a contract to
Mm-hmm.
sign a contract to offer you supervision. You have to sign 3 to 5 years working for a company or a place.
Talk about
And
it.
I'll end with this one and pass the baton. Mental health support for the staff. I think,
Talk about it.
any of these places that are having a position for social workers, there should be an in-house social worker or therapist
Talk about
in-house to
it.
support the staff specifically.
Talk about it.
Right.
All
Right. Okay,
that.
Mr. Brian, this
All
is
that.
your. I'm not finna repeat the question. Just go ahead. Do what
All
you gotta
that.
do, sir. Do
Because
what you gotta do.
it's literally crazy out here. The caseload, let me tell you what listen, I worked for a company where
Mm-hmm.
you were on from 8 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had a client
Mm-hmm.
at 8, 9, 10, 11. You got 12 off, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And on Tuesdays, you had to do a working lunch. So you can eat your lunch from 12 to 12:15, and then
Mm-hmm.
for the next 45 minutes, you had a working lunch. So they want you to do 7 clients a day, 5 days out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Where they do that at? Benefits
When,
Right.
trash. Supervision
when are you documenting?
trash.
Mm-hmm.
And you got 8 minutes to do your note. And if you saw the turnaround, when you first graduate, you're like, I'm here for fun. Let's do this. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to do. And after that third month, you like, well, what's going on? Like, what am
Mm-hmm.
I feeling? So yeah, that caseload is absolutely wild. I think it's unfortunate that the practice of social work in the therapeutic realm, insurance and whatnot, has become such a business, like a therapy mill type thing, that I believe that people are not even getting the full capacity of therapy that they could receive for the healing that they need, because the therapists, social workers are so burnt out. Whether we're talking about DCFS, or we're talking about one-on-one therapy that you come to every week, or working with families. And the thing is, the company's making the money, and there's such a revolving door of people graduating for the first time that nobody's even learning. We're just throwing out there as long as the insurance is running. And
Right.
and it, amen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not even gonna go into Florida, because Florida itself is its
Yeah.
own
Please,
piece
just
of
Go through
business.
it.
But all right.
just leave her state alone, please. Y'all already whooping her. Leave the state alone. Dr.
hmm
Melvin, anything you want to add to that, Dr. Melvin? Or they nailed it. Melissa and Brian nailed it.
Yeah, they nailed it. Everything that I wrote down, because as you asked the question, I was like taking little notes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I wrote down, they said, so they nailed it.
Okay, so perfect. So everybody here, this one of my moderators in the chat said this is one of the fastest conferences I've had yet, because we straight to the point. That's what social workers do. Okay, so before I get into our last 3 questions, we've gone over foundational background, we've gone over supporting individuals, we've gone over working with families, we've gone over interdisciplinary collaboration, we've also gone over ethical and emotional challenges. Okay, we about to wrap it up with reflections. Okay, we'll start off with Dr. Melvin, because Mr. Brian and Ms. Melissa, they was taking us through there. So let's give Dr. Melvin a little chance to take us through there too. Dr. Melvin, what is one story or moment from your career that reminds you why social work matters?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
One story from my career that reminds me that social work matters. I think about recently, so I teach as well. And one of my
Mm-hmm.
students came to me and they were actually suicidal. And so I sat there and I talked with them about what they were experiencing, what they were feeling. But we also put together a plan. We put a plan in place on how to keep them safe. But also I was able to talk to them about, not only therapy, but the idea of like even just like having a conversation in terms of like evaluation, being evaluated and
Right.
things like that. But I introduced it in a way that was not like demeaning. It was not in a way that
Mm-hmm.
that scrutinize them for having the feelings. We all wanted to be out of the situations we're in, before.
Right.
And so, so I feel like social work matters because social work teaches us a way on how to connect and how to talk to people in a way that I don't think I've ever gotten before, from other things. And so, and we literally save lives in the work that we do, so that would be my response to that question.
I love that. For the sake of time, I want to go on to the next question, but Miss Melissa, Mr. Brian, we good? I can continue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect.
Can I share something real quick?
I knew it. That's why I keep asking. That's why I ask. That's why I ask. Go ahead.
This one hit hard, and to be honest, I almost didn't want to answer the question because I didn't want to cry, but I'm going to share because it's so powerful.
Okay.
It's really a powerful story, real quick. So back in DCF, again, started my career off very early there. And I'm not going to go into too many details for, different purposes, but long story short, I had the amazing, just breathtaking, I'll never forget in my entire life, the opportunity to really come in and save 3 children's lives. And if it wasn't for DCF, these children would have, and nobody would have known. And this was true life, like a Lifetime movie, something you would see on a Netflix documentary. Just so, you can't even comprehend it. I'm at a loss of words because it's really just that unfathomable. And so, day one of helping them get their basic needs met and them, really just loving on me and just appreciating me for going in and really helping them. And then to see them years later thriving. We had, there's health, health individuals on here. A 7-year-old, 26 pounds. That's what I'm talking about. So at the end of the day, that is 1 second away from no longer being on this earth, And so just having that amazing opportunity to see them thriving, in school, doing great, just truly empowering to save children's lives, save, individuals and help them and not give up on them. There's so many people, there's so many situations, even people's own parents, they'll give up on them. And it takes, an individual that has a heart like us, which is why we get into this field, to come in and really, truly make a difference. So, and I'm going to share a whole case study on that when I can, but those children always will have a special place in my heart.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I just want to briefly address a comment in the chat from Miss Keena. She said, "I've not had good experiences with social workers in my past, but I'm grateful for the good ones." Miss Keena, thank you so much for feeling comfortable to share that. And I also hear that a lot too from a lot of people, and that's why I made sure I did this conference. That's why I made sure I did my research and found people who are passionate about the field. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to these great subject matter experts as it relates to everything social work. Let's continue. And also, Melissa, thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much for the work that you do. But Mr. Brian, what advice would you give to students or early career professionals interested in becoming clinical social workers?
Choose your supervisor wisely. I've always had an excellent supervisor, one who was culturally connected to me, so I had a fair understanding of what was always going on. And when I say I'm going to say ask questions. When I'm saying ask questions, it's like, hey, if it's a question like, how can I make more money? Hey, what can I do while I'm still, I don't know, at whatever job that you're at? And that's why I say ask your supervisor, because my supervisor has been the wealth of knowledge and information that comes. Even my undergrad supervisor, I still talk to her. I'm like, just find somebody that you can continuously connect with, because it does matter, and it changes the trajectory of your career, because you need somebody who believes in you from then on.
Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing that. We're good. We can continue. We only got 2 more questions. We good? Okay. Dr. Melvin, what is one message you want this audience specifically to take away about the impact of social workers in our communities overall?
I would say that you said the impact of social workers, right?
The impact of social work. Yep.
I would say social workers carry the biggest load of those who are doing therapy in our country as a
Mm-hmm.
whole.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what the percentage is. But we're at the front lines. We're at the front lines at every state. Anytime something goes on, a natural disaster, anytime anything like that happens, we're typically on the front lines. The impact that social workers have, again, we're trained in many different areas, and so we tend to operate in many different areas, and so that impact is invaluable. Social workers, again, you can find social workers everywhere. And so
Right.
just knowing that social work is not, we're not just, again, I think I heard Melissa say it, we're not just out here taking babies away from families. We
Right.
actually, you can find social workers everywhere. I mean, somebody told me Target hires social workers, so you can find social workers in HR,
Yes.
social workers everywhere. We understand behavior. We understand,
Mm-hmm.
how, I'll stop. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I would say about the impact of social work.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. For the sake of time, I have this last question that I ask all of my interview guests. A couple of my people in the chat already know this answer. I'll have Miss Melissa answer first, and then we'll go down the line. But Miss Melissa, as it relates, you recently answered this question too. Let's kick it up a notch. Miss Melissa, as it relates to the work that you do, as it relates to the reason why you continue to show up to be a well-rounded social worker, what is your overall why?
To make sure that people don't fall through the cracks.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Life is too valuable. There are resources. You just have to find them. We just have to create them. We have to figure out what the need is for the communities that we're in, but really to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks. Everyone's life is so valuable. And
Right.
as long as we can, create that space, like Dr. Melvin spoke about early on, to make sure that they feel supported and, have guidance is so empowering, so empowering.
I love that. Thank you so much for answering that. Mr. Brian, what is your overall why as it relates to the work that you do in social work and the reason why you keep showing up?
I think in this, each season it changes, but the season I'm in right now is to show
Mm-hmm.
Black men that it's possible to do this work even after being through a specific life that you've had.
Hey.
And I think that's really what's important right now, because what is it? Was it 1% of social workers are Black men out of the
Okay.
4% that are Black in a whole, like in this? But our population needs like the support. So I show up in spaces and um, try to be bold in them, even when I'm nervous or scared or whatever, just to show, hey, Black men, I'm here, we're here, whether it's social, emotional, whatever, like what is needed. So it's just to show, so that you can like bring like, please come, please help,
Right.
like we
Right.
can do the work. You are smart enough, wise enough, like you have the capacity that you can do it. So that's the season I'm in right now.
Amen. I love that. The season of representation. I love that. Dr. Melvin, what is your overall why as it relates to the reason why you work, it relates to the reason why you continue to show up? What is your overall why?
Yeah, I would say, growing up for me, I needed some, I grew up in a very tough situation. I was
Mm-hmm.
raised by a mother who had been sexually abused by her father. I was raised by a father who had been physically and verbally abused by his dad. And so you can only imagine what my household looked like growing up, all that trauma, surrounded by trauma, right? And so, my dad was physically and verbally abusive to me and my siblings. And there were people, there were literal adults who saw him abuse us and didn't say a word. And so my overall why is because I'm going to be the voice for the voiceless. I'm going to be the voice for those people who don't realize that they have a voice. I'm going to speak up and I'm going to say, I'm going to call people out on their ish. And we're gonna have some conversations. So my why is closely related to my own trauma and my experiences. And so for me, I'm gonna, I show up every day because I know that I'm needed. I'm called to this work. I don't feel like I chose it. I feel like it called me. I'm called to this work, and I'm here. I'm here.
Amen. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much for your vulnerability as well too. Once again, I'm gonna say this again. This is one of the fastest conferences I've had. I appreciate y'all. Social work is where it's at. Y'all come into these conferences and y'all get it done, and y'all just provide this information, and you guys drop these gems. Before I drop them down, can I have a couple round of applause in the chat? Miss Keena, I see you. Miss Mika, I see you. Miss Crystal, I see you. Thank you so much for being here. Crystal, I know you. I mean, Melissa, I know you got to go. Let me drop you down. But first and last thing, thank you so much for all the work that you do. Thank you so much for continuing to show up. Please continue to be great. Okay, ma'am? Mr. Brian, thank you so much for being here. Black man, thank you so much for being a therapist. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for being representation that we need. Continue to be great, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Melvin, one doctor to another doctor, thank you so much for the work that you do. Thank you so much for being a business owner, a CEO, and also a professor. Please continue to be great, sir. Thank you so much for the work that you do.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all, dude, that was Posh History Professor. You missed it, but guess what? Thank you so much for being here to come and tell me hi. This was great. You guys, happy Social Work Month, okay? Once again, I appreciate you guys all for being here. Quick recap. I'm going to be posting these on YT. But quick recap, we went over some foundational background questions as it relates to social work. We went over supporting individuals, which is important. We went over working with families, interdisciplinary collaboration, ethical and emotional challenges. And then we ended off with some reflections. Can I have, before I let y'all go, can I just have a couple of round of applauses in the chat? Because we did that. Miss Keena, I see you. Thank you so much. Queen Speaks, I see you. Thank you so much. Isabel, I see you. Thank you so much. Frame Greetings, I see you. Thank you so much. Dr. J, I see you, brain psychologist. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys all for being here. I see you. I see you. Frame, thank you so much. Mac the therapist, hop in my DMs, please. We got to talk, Mac. Hop in my DMs. I see you, and I appreciate you guys all for being here. Thank you so much. That was the Social Work Hub Conference. Y'all have a great night, okay? I'm gonna see y'all next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Office Hours with Dr. Johnson. Who am I having next? Who am I gonna have next? Y'all gotta stay tuned. Deuces in the chat. Y'all know what to do. A couple deuces in the chat. There's two deuces in the chat. Can we just deuce it out? For my people like deuces, Dr. J, have a great night. Can I get some deuces in the chat, please? Ms. Mika, I see you. Ms. Mika, thank you so much for shout out to my moderators, Ms. Mika, Pals, Aaron Turner, L. Shout out to all you guys for all the work that you're doing for holding me down in my chat. Okay, I see the deuces. Y'all have a great night. Miss Keena, I hope you're doing well. Taylor, I see you. I hope you're doing well. Everybody have a good night. Okay. Oh, I'm tired.